Thank you. I'll start and then I'll turn it over to Dave. And I apologize, I will be going pretty fast through the slides. Um, I got Eagles versus Cowboys, and our parking lots are opening up in 20 minutes. So I'm trying to rush to get to manage that headache. So the city was fortunate enough to host 6 games within our Prebi at the Lincoln Financial Field, and we decided that it was going to be um, a way for us to try some of the planning we were planning for 2026. Next slide. Yeah. The matches, we had not only the group, but the 18 and a quarterfinal in the city of Philadelphia. Um, Next slide. But along with the matches, we also had multiple events happening. It happened during July 4th festivity. So the city hosts a concert and multiple other festivities throughout the city happened. And we also had double events where we would have a soccer match followed by a, a baseball game or vice versa. Next slide. So we're I think we're unique in the fact that we have 3 arenas. All our sports teams play in the same area. So we do have multiple events where you could have a soccer game, a football game, followed by a concert happening at the same time. Um, just the capacity that the stadium holds is just under 70,000. Plus, there's all the spectators. There's an Xfinity Live and a casino nearby. So usually a lot of times it exceeds that. If anybody's curious, today's anticipated participants will be over 100,000 expected in the area. So we were trying some of the things where we were opening up 3 hours before the match for people to come in, get people settled, things like that. And this was something similar that we're trying to do for FIFA, although there was no activation. We are looking FIFA 2026 will have some activation that will draw people earlier and keep people later. Next slide. So obviously, one of the things we are depending a lot for 2026 is our transit agency. We were promoting them. We were trying to get the message out for people to use it. It is vast. It allows you easy connection between the stadium, the sports complex, and Center City. And so we kept an eye on how many people were using it. Next slide. And this is just how many we run sports expresses from Center City down to NRG Station. So it roughly takes you about 17 minutes to get there. Next slide. And with the Club Cup, we wanted to make sure we were prepared for all this. So we had meetings with the operations, with the police, with everybody there, cleanness, make sure that we put our best foot forward. We also put out a call for people who spoke the native language of the teams that were playing. So they would have ambassadors that could direct them, show them where they were going to, at least be able to communicate with our staff. Next slide. Again, the ambassadors did a lot of the police. We also put out a call for the transit police and the Philly police to see how many of them will speak the native language so that they're able to speak to the visitors, to the sports fans, and not try to elevate the issues or any issues that would come about. Next. So we try something different. We centralize, decentralize our operations. So we had Lincoln Financial Field, the operations that were only responsible for the venue or the stadium itself. So they were handling any incidents within the stadium, in the stadium, and things like that. Next slide. We also the next slide. Oh, that should have been 2 slides there. We also did what we call what we're calling now a venue perimeter operations center, VPOC. So that's actually where I was at and my staff was at. We were responsible for the transportation, the streets, the marches, anything happen outside. this kind of allowed us to then just concentrate on what was happening outside the stadium and not get pulled into what was also happening within the stadium. It allowed us to concentrate on our expertise rather than to try to manage multiple incidents at the same time. Next slide. We also activated our OEM, who was handling the region, and we also activated the RTMC. Dave?
Yeah, sure. So RTMC, this is PennDot District 6 up in King of Prussia. King of Prussia is pretty much the heart of the suburbs. So our RTMC, the building's about 2.5 years old. It was kind of modeled off of a lot of lessons learned from when we had the Pope visit. It's a 24/7 operation, so we're operating all the time. But for events like this, we obviously have meetings with the city, and we direct our operators to give them special instructions on what to look out for and to be prepared for the event.
Obviously, our transit agency also, who was key in all this, um, activated their center. And some of the matches started at 9 p.m., so we were going late into the night. So we had to make sure that the everything was operational when people were expecting the trains all to be there. So next slide. So this is basically the ticket profile. It's going to look totally different for 2026 than it did in 2025. What we were trying to anticipate is who was purchasing the tickets, where they were coming from, just making some assumptions, how many people were flying in versus how many people were local. And as you can see, it's a large amount of tickets were sold to U.S. Citizens. So uh, unlike 2026, we're anticipating only 49% of the tickets to be sold US and 51% to be from a outside the United States destination. Next slide. Until we obviously were trying to figure out how to profile this. We took some INRIX data and some streetlight data and took a look to see how many people were coming in, the time they were coming in. And most of them arrived between that 1 to 2 hours prior to kickoff. There were a few that arrived prior to that and some at between an hour to kickoff. But we wanted to make sure that the people were in their seats for 2026. So we wanted to kind of do a profile and anticipated when people would be coming. And then when people were leaving, obviously, just like any sports event that we normally see in the U.S., is you had a major rush leaving in the first hour. But then there were some people who did hang around that 1 to 2 hours. A lot of them hung around in the stadium, just cheering on their teams, which was kind of something new to us. But there was also no after match activities. That is something we're looking to do during the 2026 World Cup. Next. So some of the key takeaways that we did, we were trying to take direct vehicles as quickly as possible. We had to do some closures that we normally do not do due to some marches. So we had our plan was very fluid, and the way we were directing people into the parking lots changed depending on where fan marches started and when they were coming. We also had to do closures of off-ramp and on-ramps to the interstate that we're currently working on, trying to work on a little better for 2026. Next. We parked a little under, and anybody who's from Philadelphia understands we use our gate system, but we parked a little under 47,000 vehicles for all the matches, and the ticket sales were just a little under 350,000 spectators that came in to the matches. We also have ridership numbers, transit ridership numbers that we're coordinating just to see how many people came via transit and how many people actually drove themselves and Uber Lyft under. Next. Dave?
So thanks, Rich. So to give a bit of a regional perspective, this is map of Philadelphia in the tri-state region. You could think of Philadelphia as the state operate in the freeways and the city operate in the surface streets. But we do have a number of different agencies in addition to the city and the state. For the uh, bridges, we have DRPA, the Burlington County Bridge Commission, and the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission. They manage the bridges across the Delaware River. In addition, we have our friends in New Jersey DOT, DelDOT, and also the New Jersey Turnpike, and also the Pennsylvania Turnpike you can see on the northern edge of the suburbs. So we all work together on a lot of events, so we have pretty good connections with each other. So it's very helpful. Next, please. So overall for our system, to give an idea, so this is kind of a map of where we have cameras and message boards. Next slide, please. There's take a look at one of our changeable message signs. This is one of our permanent installations. Next. And kind of a closer look on the city, on where we have cameras. We have over 500 cameras in the region and over 200 changeable message signs. From a communications perspective, we use fiber optic communications back to our district office. So we're fortunate to have a lot of fiber trunk lines along our freeways. Next, please. And then this is kind of a close up of the South Philly sports complex area. As Rich said, there's 2 stadiums and arena in the area, so a lot of events in this area, and it has easy access to the freeways. Next, please. To give an idea of traffic congestion, so following the FIFA Club World Cup, we took a look at what congestion looked like in different freeways. We purchased data from INRIX and we process it through the Pro Data Analytics suite. Very helpful to take a look. Even if I wanted to process data from this morning rush hour, I could already do that. It's very powerful. This is I-76. Next slide, please. Just to give an idea from the analytics suite, this is kind of a congestion map. We've highlighted in on the areas around the stadium and showing game start time and what congestion looked like. In this case, it wasn't very congested. Next, please. And this is another map. This is for the July 4th game. Next, please. And then this is I-95. We'll take a look at the congestion chart for that. Next, please. There it's zeroed in on I-95 in South Philadelphia and when the game started. Next, please. And then again for the July 4th match, which was a later 9 p.m. match, you could zero in and you could see on the left that there was congestion just before the match and then it cleared up. That would be a bit more unusual having congestion at that time of day at 8 o'clock. So it's obviously related to the match. Next, please. This is Broad Street. Next. And there's what the map looks like for Broad Street, zeroing in on the South Philly Sports Complex. Next, please. And then again for the July 4th match, which was later. Next. And then this is Vine Street Expressway, which cuts across Center City. Next, please. And then those are the 2 maps showing Vine Street Expressway. So they're powerful tools to do a lot of things with them. Take a look at the origin destination data for the region. Next, please. So you could see this was using streetlight data. Jacobs Engineering pulled that for us. They're developing our transportation management plan. You could take a look at the plurality of traffic is coming from New Jersey and across the Walt Whitman Bridge. Walt Whitman's the highest line there that crosses the river next to South Philly. And then you could see cars coming from Northeast Philly down 95 and then from Delaware County and state of Delaware up 95. It kind of gives you a sense of where traffic was coming from and arriving to in the stadium area. So this was helpful to get a sense of what traffic might look like next year for people traveling to the World Cup. Next, please. And then that's kind of a bigger region overall. Next. And you can see again similar in terms of traffic coming from New Jersey and across Walt Whitman. Next, please. Again, similar going across Walt Whitman Bridge. So there's kind of a chart showing the major corridors that were feeding traffic towards the matches for Club World Cup. You can see the highlights, I-95 northbound coming from Delaware County and the airport. You have Walt Whitman Bridge, and then also I-95 southbound that comes down from Bucks County in Northeast Philadelphia. So next, please. I'll turn it back over to Rich. You're on mute, Rich.
Thanks, Dave. Apologize. So I mentioned this before, and our transit agency was one of the things we were trying to push during the Club World Cup, was for people to utilize. They did run sports expresses and and they had police and ambassadors out there to direct people and help people. Next slide. So some of the challenges, and like, we didn't want to leave it, and Philadelphia made the news, not for good reasons, was we had our sanitation strike happen. So 9,000 municipal workers who not only pick up the trash, are responsible for the traffic signals, potholes, everything else happened. During this time, during this time, I was working 8 hours as a traffic technician and 8 hours as a sanitation worker. So, in order to assist the city during all the special events. Next slide. So the other challenges we had was the fan marches. We were expecting this. Our police did a great job reaching out to the clubs, talking to the clubs, creating a relationship with them. They would let us know when they were going to start, where they were going to start, how many people they were expecting. It was quite amazing, just the relationship our police officers had with them. Our police officers too spoke. We found with their call out through the Philadelphia Police Department. We found native speakers, and that's how we were able to communicate with them easily. Next slide. So there were two areas that they actually originated. One was in our FDR Park area, which a park, and the other one was our Marconi Plaza, another park that they originated. They used either the Oregon stop on the Broad Street line or the final stop NRG station to then meet there and then march down to this Lincoln Financial Field. Next. So this is what it looks like when you get a call of a march. It's quite interesting. I think when you first look at it, I happened to be there, but it is a little daunting, and you can keep going at it because I think the rest of them are just footages. So it's just a little daunting. You can also see the amount of police force that we provided for them. It was just to make sure that everything went smooth, that they actually were very nice. I mean, they follow instructions. They would light up a couple of these marine flares, incendiary devices, walk with it for a while, throw, and we were able to easily aid them. The march, depending on the distance, somewhere between 1 to 2 hours it would take. And yeah, this is where I was. So it's a little different. I was told about them, but until you sit there and you experience them, it's not what I was expecting. And I am from Philadelphia, so I tend to expect a lot of things like this. Obviously, during the marches, what you could see is the heavy police presence, but also as we had to close down the roads, which allowed it, which then our traffic management plan had to be very fluid. We had to redirect traffic to different parking lots and things like such like that. We utilize one system down here. So whether you're at that point, you can use your parking pass to go into different parking lots, and it worked excellent for us. As I mentioned, it took us 2 to 3 hours in some of the times to clear them out, but they fairly were not bad walking. Next. So some of the lessons learned, it's obviously the fan marches do take a toll on us. So also is we had a lot of issues with rideshare because they were trying to drop off in front of the venue, and it became problematic, obviously, um, with the marches, and that was also the pickup. So we're kind of working on all that. We're trying to work on a cohesive traffic management plan for the complex for the FIFA World Cup, and we're also trying to see if we can put wayfinders and QR code. And then we're also trying, interesting part, we're trying to figure out how to detect marine flares, which is they're not detectable. They also, some of them got snuck into the stadiums and all that. Next. I mentioned like the us trying, we are trying to coordinate with Uber and Lyft to give them an area where they can go pick up and drop off, kind of keep it consistent so that people know where you're being dropped off is where you're going to pick up. As many of you guys know, sometimes the issue happens to be is that people think they're going to be late, so they just jump out of the Uber wherever they are or Lyft and then start to walk towards the stadium. And so we're expecting larger crowds. We're expecting more fans. We're expecting them to stay here longer. We're expecting the average stay of anybody traveling to Philadelphia to be somewhere between 9 to 12 days. So we're expecting bigger crowds, bigger people, and multiple parties throughout the city. Next. And so for the 2026, this is the map we've been keeping, or the calendar, I'm sorry, that we've been keeping in the city with the multiple events happening all at once. We also have a FIFA Fan Fest happening that will be activated during this whole time. Not only we anticipate some sporting events that have been shown there in the giant screens, but maybe some musical groups and all that. Uh, Philadelphia is also going to start a cruise ship terminal in 2026, and America 250th will be here to the semi-quincentennial of the country will be here. So we do expect this calendar to get a little more busier as we get closer to 2026 with more and more events. And at the same time, too, we announced yesterday, Mayor Parker announced we will be doing local activations at over 20 business quarters throughout the city to activate them to bring businesses through the local neighborhoods. So this is not only a center city event for us, but it's actually a citywide event. Next. And with that, questions. And apologize, I went really fast, but I think my parking lot's open up and I'm gonna start going gray.
Yeah, real quick. Thanks, Rich and Dave. That was really insightful. Thanks for sharing those videos. And I think somebody in the chat said that was really eye-opening to see the fan marches. We did have one question in the Q&A pod. This is from Maria, was there an education component to the parking and traffic management info on what to use, routes to consider, etc.? What worked and what would you do differently? So was there any outreach before the event, the Club World Cup games, for the public, just to make them aware of what routes you were trying to point people towards, or what transit outlets they could use? What kind of outreach did you do?
So we try to get stuff out through FIFA. I don't think we were successful. I think one of the lessons learned and why we have a good relationship with PennDot is it's PennDot's VMSs, and I think Dave's, correct me if I'm wrong, you're bringing in 32 VMS boards for FIFA.
Mm.
So I mean, one thing is how to get the message out, and so that was one of the things we learned is it's we're gonna try to utilize FIFA as much as possible and utilize PennDot and PennDot's 501 system. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Dave, to that.
Yeah, Rich, it's exactly right, Rich. I mean, we have a lot of permanent changeable message signs, but we're also bringing in 32 portables, and we'll strategically place them along different routes depending on what objectives we're trying to achieve, and that'll all be defined through the transportation management plan. In addition, we've had some meetings on PA 511 to be able to give information out, to attendees of the events, but then also just local residents that want to know what roadways are being closed and how they could navigate around the event too. So yeah, it's going to be a much bigger component next summer for the FIFA World Cup.
Perfect. Yeah, I think you covered that well. There's another follow-up question from Maria asking about next year's World Cup in June and July. Since it's going to be, hot in the summer months, are you communicating to fans where they can find things like water stations or different emergency types? If there's an emergency situation, are you communicating that now, or are you going to do that when it's a little bit closer to June and July of next year? I guess the main question is how are you communicating those types of bits of detail to your expected fans?
So we are planning to, depending on the weather, and that was one of the lessons we learned. And this year was for next year, we are planning to put some water stations out there. We also have to provide lockers for people to lock their valuables because they won't be able to take things into the stadium. And the other thing is that the tickets are electronic. So you have to use your cell phone. So areas to charge your cell phone are what we're also looking at. So we've been working closely with the host committee, Philly Soccer, and FIFA to see how we're going to be able to accomplish this and make sure that people are safe when they do. One of the things that we did learn this year was the 12 o'clock games. We at one point it was like 125 degrees on the field. So we are just FIFA is discussing whether Philadelphia will have or day games or night games is what we're still discussing.
Thanks. Looks like we're out of Q&A questions, but there's quite a few in the actual chat. So I'll try and scan through some of these real quick before Rich, I'm sure you're itching to go. So just one real quick. Will these portable changeable message sign messages be remotely programmed, or are they going to be on-site programmed for the World Cup?
Yeah, they'll be remote. From the state's end, they'll be integrated into our ATMS platform. So we'll be able to change them remotely, just like we will our portable or our permanent changeable message signs.
Perfect. All right, Rich. Well, I think it's time for you to get out of here. You got more important things to do. So thanks so much, Rich and Dave, for being here and sharing your expertise on what you saw during the Club World Cup. And we look forward to hearing from you some more as you continue to plan for the large World Cup next year. So thanks again. We really appreciate you gentlemen coming on and sharing what you learned from the Club World Cup.
Thank you,
Thanks
Jason.
for
My
inviting us.
apologies.
Thanks
See
for
you
being
guys.
Thanks for being here, gentlemen.
Bye.